All right, you guys, say hello when you hop on. I'm pulling up my phone here so I can see the chat. Billie and I are going to give you guys just a few minutes before we dive into all the goodness. So I'll put say hello in the chat. Guys, it is Thursday. We're almost there.
Almost.
Okay, perfect. We're super excited that you guys are here. We're going to be diving in. I'm going to be able to ask all of the greatness with Billie. If you catch the replay, if you weren't able to join us live, even asking questions in real time as you're watching the replay and letting Billie come back. But I think there's so much to say about being here and being able to be in the energy, be able to kind of guide the conversation. And as we are talking, ideas will come up. We want to encourage you guys to put them down in the chat. I see a few of you on. If you say hello, that would be awesome. And then I think we'll just kind of get started. Well, we're right at the 12 o'clock. Let's give them just a few more seconds before we dive into. You know how it is. People are walking out from lunch and all of the great things. These guest expert sessions have been so fun, you guys. I had several of you guys apply too. Hey, Courtney. Hi, Mary. Hi, Tao. I see you guys. Say hello when you hop on. This is going to be a super fun. Plus, like, how great is it to have a licensed therapist like right here hanging out in our group, giving us access to all of your greatness. Okay, so we have a few people that are on now. So I'm going to go ahead and hit record for those who miss it. Hi, Courtney. Thanks for saying hello. And we are just going to dive right in. So I am so excited to have Billie come into the group. Her and I have connected. I've been able to help her. She's going to be sharing a little bit more about how she's getting to support entrepreneurs specifically as well. But she's a licensed therapist and she is very passionate about helping us become mentally wealthy entrepreneurs. And you guys know I'm a huge advocate for energy, which a lot of that plays into mental wellness. And so what she's creating for us as entrepreneurs is massive. And so important. So many times we worry about just making money or we worry about, checking off the to-do list. And we forget that our mental health is what plays a massive role in how successful we are in life and in business for the long term. And so she's going to give more of a formal introduction of herself. And then we're going to dive into brain spotting because as a coach of hers, getting to learn from this aspect of her, I'm like intrigued. I want to know more and how this works. And she's going to give us a little bit more of that information. So why don't you formally introduce yourself a little bit to the group?
Yes, I will. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited that you invited me to be here because I could talk all day long about brain spotting and what I do because I'm so passionate and excited about, but I will just stay on for an hour with you, Danielle, not all day. But yes, I'm a licensed therapist. I've been a therapist for, I used to say nearly a decade. Now I have to say like 11 years. So over a decade, which is just like wild to me. But I've been a licensed therapist in Oklahoma. In the past year or so, have gotten off the therapy couch, as I like to say, and transitioned into a different space of coaching, consulting, being able to use all of the tools that I have as a therapist, including brain spotting in a totally different and expansive way, getting to help so many more people in really deep and healing ways. And in doing that, it's just been a total game changer for me, total game changer for the people that I work with. And brain spotting, like I said, is just one of those tools, but definitely the most powerful tool. But along with being a therapist and a coach, I'm an entrepreneur. I own my own practice. Now I have this the coaching business, and I am a mom. I have two little ones. I'm a wife. I am as active as I can be in my community. So just like many of the people in your group, I try to do all of the things and really also try to check myself on how I'm doing in my mental and emotional game as well. So yeah, so excited to be here and share with you.
Okay, so I want to dive into just like why you're passionate about helping us become mentally wealthy entrepreneurs. Like, how did that come into mind? Like the name, the title, the focus, like what are you passionate about around that?
Well, obviously, coming from the therapist mindset, mental health is my focus. Mental health has been so important for me to help people with. Like that's what I do, right? And so, in trying to help people expand and thrive in their business setting and what they're doing as far as being an entrepreneur, that's where mentally wealthy comes into play. Because if you want to thrive, if you want to build wealth, whether it's financial wealth, interpersonal wealth, any kind of energetic wealth you're talking about, you've got to be mindful of how you're doing mentally, emotionally. I mean, we can put all the aspects of wellness in there, your social wellness, your spiritual wellness, physical wellness, obviously, but just the mental health of it, like, that energy is so important and really guides everything that we do. So that's why it's for me, and what I try to share with everyone, just the utmost importance and putting it first on the top of your priority list. Like, you've got to be able to do that to do all of the other things.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing we put on the back burner the most is our self-wellness. And so
Yeah.
if you're vulnerable enough and you're watching whether replay or live, why don't you give us on a scale of 1 to 10 where you feel like currently you're putting your mental health and wellness like on a 1 to 10 scale. And I can say for myself, this week alone is about a 4, which is really rare for me because normally I'm like very much in my intentional space and I'm going out and doing the runs and I'm doing all the meditations, but the weather's been weird and I'm preparing for vacation. And I can tell a huge difference, like even in myself, when I'm prioritizing that at like a 7 or 8 versus like this week, I'm about a 4 and I'm tired. I'm not energetically as high as I normally am. And I can tell like that is a big part of it. So vulnerably sharing with you guys, some weeks are better than others, but I need to have those tools and those different things that you provide us to be able to get back into this mentally wealthy mindset where everything else is going to flow from there. So I freaking love that. And I was so drawn to that. Like when we started working together, she had already created that as her like group and her format and what she was passionate about. And I was like, we're supposed to be friends. I'm supposed to be a part of whatever you're creating. But the brain spotting part. So let's go into that because I know Kate just shared she had not. I had asked in the chat, like, do you know or have you heard of brain spotting? And she was like, no, I haven't. And so I think that a lot of people are not. And you said even most people like don't have it as much here in Oklahoma. Like it's becoming popular in some other areas. So why don't you talk a little bit about the history of it and what it is? Courtney said she hadn't heard of it before. And then Kate said probably a 7. She's felt a lot more inspired this month than previous on mental health. So that's so good. And I think gauging that, like knowing how, like if you know what a 10 feels like that's so good. I don't want to squirrel off of that. Courtney said about a 5. Yeah. And so for me, it's a little low compared. Normally I'm at that 7 to 8, like feeling like top of the world, right? And so why don't you talk a little bit about where it came from, why you're passionate about it and what it is?
Yeah. So if, in Oklahoma specifically, more people are familiar with EMDR as a therapeutic method, especially when they're looking for dealing with trauma and trying to heal from really hard stuff that they've been through. That's more popular. More people might have heard about that. But brain spotting actually was discovered and kind of expanded by an EMDR therapist. And yeah, like many things in Oklahoma, it takes a while to come to us. And so it is more popular on the coast. There's a really big group of trainers and brain spotters in Colorado. And so it's coming our way. You will hear more about it, I promise you, because it is that effective. But that's really where it came from, was David Grand. He has a great book about brain spotting that's really easy to read. It's not super textbooky, but David Grand really discovered what he was seeing was people were processing their hard stuff and they would look in one particular direction when they're processing. And he got curious about that. What is happening when these people are just looking in one area? So Yes, yours that you've seen up. Yeah. So what's going on when people are doing that? He had them pause and do some more digging in that particular eye position. And then it just opened up this whole world of new way of processing. And it's not just in the United States. There, I mean, all across the globe, people are getting trained in this method because it is so expansive, because it is so effective. It's gaining popularity. So that is not surprising to me that we're getting so many people that are like never heard of brain spotting. Even in the therapy world, in Oklahoma, we don't have a lot of brain spotting therapists, and so it's gaining more popularity, but it is newer. So the fact that you're learning about it now, you're like on the edge of, you're like cutting edge.
Okay, so tell me, as if you're working with me on a client to client basis, like how are you utilizing brain spotting? Guys, ask questions too, the things that you want to know, but like how are you utilizing it? What does it look like? Like, am I coming to you with, let's say, a past trauma? Like, you know, that I've gone through the loss of my sister. That's been a
Mhm.
really big trauma for me. And then
Yes.
now my kids are coming to age of driving. And so I'm having to now try to work through some of the past fears. So like if I'm a patient of yours or a client of yours, depending on which capacity, right? We're working,
Mhm.
like, what does that look like? Do I know that I'm looking for help in that, or do I just come to you and things are revealed?
Yeah, so typically people will call me and say, I know that I'm being stuck in this particular area. And if that's okay, I'll use the example that you just gave. My kids are getting to be driver's age and I can't get in the car with them, or I want to just break down in tears every time I think about it, or I feel in my body a certain way and I want to teach them to drive. I want them to have that freedom, and I want them to grow in that way, but I'm stuck. And I know why I'm stuck, but I can't get past it. The thing is, like, we can't think our way past some of the experiences we've been through because they're so deep in the brain. And because sometimes we don't even like have a conscious memory of some of the experience we have, but they are stuck in our brain and they become stuck in our body. And so, having that place to start is helpful, but not necessarily, especially in a coaching realm. I have people that come and say, I want to raise my prices. I want to raise those fees, or I want to, at work, I want to ask for a promotion or do this. And I keep avoiding it. I don't know why. So they don't know the actual root of the why, but guess what happens when we dive deep? There's a story there. There's locked in memories. There's a whole lot of stuckness that with brain spotting we can get to and unravel.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about what the session itself looks like, just so I
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. So you would come in and sit down, and we would do a lot of talking work about a discussion about what is going on. And I have, like, I'm gonna bring out my brain, my little brain model here. Look at it. Isn't she great?
I love props.
Um, Yes, my props. We're doing a lot of talking work, teasing out what's going on right here in the prefrontal cortex where our language is, and talking about it, understanding it, talking about why the coping tools I have aren't working. I've done all the strategy, I've done all the mindset, and it's been fantastic, but it's still not like that push. I still need that push. And being able to tease all that out really brings it to the forefront. And what we notice is that we start having body sensations. So when you start having body sensations, I'm getting that feeling in my stomach or that tightness in my throat. That's where we start.
Okay.
In session with me, what I do then is I use my pointer to help you find your eye position of where you feel that body sensation the most. So if I just go with the feeling in the throat, I would start here and have you look here. We would feel that and move through that, and then I would fine tune where that eye position is based off of where I put my pointer. I mean, when we're in the room, I can go, like, we can go all over the place, and I can do this virtually too. We can do that. I just say, all right, keep moving your eyes that way and see what you notice. It's all about what are you noticing in your body? What are you noticing with that feeling we're starting with? And let's really observe it. So we fine tune that position. I have a couple other props that I use, a couple other tools I use. Sound is one of them. We put on earphones or have earbuds and use bilateral music, which is this like wave of music. It feels like a wave. It gets louder in one ear, and softer, and then gets louder. That helps our brain hemispheres talk. I have these like incredibly fashionable glasses. I was asking Danielle if she wants to
Yes,
take
I
on vacation with her, but these glasses, they look really funky, right? But what they do is they're covering one eye so that I can find an eye position just with this eye. And then I have glasses that do the same thing, but on the other side, cover this eye, and then it can find me a fine-tune an eye position with just this eye. And so I use these different props. We fine-tune to the most effective brain spot, the most effective way your eyes are positioned, and that's when we do the deep dive work. That's when we really focus in on that feeling. We really become observers of that feeling. It's pretty powerful and it's hard to explain. It's one of those things you have to experience, but we really observe this energy move. Memories might pop up, thoughts might come into play where like, where did that come from? I hear this a lot. This might sound silly, but this is what I thought of, or I haven't thought about this in 100 years. And like these things just become unlocked in our brain because we're bypassing all the talking parts of our brain and getting deep into our brain where those stuck memories, those stuck experiences, those stuck beliefs are really stored.
Okay, so we have some people saying, I have a lot of those moments. This is really fascinating. Well, there's like the subconscious too and the conscious brain, and like knowing as well, like I had a scenario. I'd love to share just a little bit of the story because it came up and I think it would be neat for you guys who haven't heard it. But I have always had a long standing, like not so much fear of water, but fear of water on my face. And I never knew like what that was associated with. And I got to Costa Rica in June of last year. I had gone a few months before taking the women in January just to make sure it was safe and really fill out the environment and meet the staff and that kind of thing. And while I was there, I had told myself, I'm going to do all the things that scare me. Like I'm here, I'm going to go all in. Okay. So I'm making that decision. Well, I remember there was a situation, we covered ourselves in clay and we went to go face forward into the waterfall and we were going to rinse away. Okay. Like all of these hesitations and different things. And so I'm all for like painting it. I love swimming in the water. I was fine. But the second I went to go put my face in, it completely took my entire breath away. I was like, like, it was like very like shocking. I was scared, but I didn't know why I was scared because I was safe. It was, yeah. So there was a lot of weirdness like going on. And so I backed out and my husband was like, I'm so proud of you. And on the rest of that trip, I was like jumping off and going into the water and like doing these different things. Well, when I got home, I was having a conversation with one of my friends and they said, hey, did you ever have anything traumatic happen around water? I was like, no, like I live at the lake. You guys know me. I'm a kayaker, swimmer, boater. No. And I called my dad and I was like, hey, dad, just curious, like, did anything ever happen to me around water? And he didn't even hesitate. He's like, yeah, you almost drowned. And I was like, what? Like it didn't even register. And when he starts to tell me this story of how the creek had washed out from underneath me and I had fallen in and my hair was like only the thing floating on top of the water and he had to jump in to try to rescue me, like I had chills and my body felt like the fear. But yeah, she said I had goosebumps. But guys, that is something that happened that was so traumatic that my brain does not even remember. Yet that fear is so relevant in this stage of my life that's holding me back from going on the diving board with my kids. You know how many times my kids have asked me to jump off a diving board? No way. No way. And now I will. I have worked through that because I'm aware that I'm safe. And that was something, but if I had never actually asked that question or had time to process even what that happened, that fear was still living there, limiting me. And so this is why when I found out this is what she's working on, like this is game changing for so many of us. We don't know why we're scared. We don't know why we're scared to go live or start that business or leave that relationship or whatever that looks like. And this is something that could bring so much awareness, yet it's with a licensed therapist, right? That can help you properly process what you're trying to navigate. So when she started sharing about this, I was just like, man, like it's like unlocking this part of yourself, which you could feel like could be scary. So when we talk about that, like what is it? So once we've uncovered something with you, what does that look like?
Yeah. Okay, so you're totally right. It can be very scary to think, well, if I'm covering something up way down in deep in my brain, maybe I don't want to know about it. But here's the thing is that one of the biggest components with this work is being able to trust yourself, which includes trusting your brain, trusting your body, trusting your energy, that if you are not ready to go into some sort of emotional depth, you won't. Your brain knows, your body knows. It will heal itself in that way. It will reveal what you're ready for and what you're not. And so that's the first thing that I make sure to tell people is you've got to trust yourself. You have to trust yourself in this process. And then the other thing is you are in total control here. This is not like hypnosis where, I go back to being in college and watching these people on the stage do crazy things, right? It's not like that. You are in total control of what is happening. You can stop at any moment. You can say, no, Billie, not ready to go there yet. Fantastic. Great. Let's not. And let's go where you are right now. And so that's the first thing I would say is you are in total control of that. The other thing is that we don't necessarily have to go to the hardest, most traumatic. We don't have to go to those places. In brain spotting, we also we find the tough spots, but we also find what's called the resource spots, or there's our expansion spots where we can expand on energy that feels like power or confidence. We can, if you're going and walking into wanting to ask for a promotion, well, let's find a spot and fine tune a spot that brings you confidence, brings you knowing, brings you truth. And let's expand on that. Let's find that spot, really breathe into that, unlock that too. So there's a whole lot of power in this. It doesn't have to be just the scary, but I would say in that scary, trust yourself. Trust yourself.
So why don't you share a little bit about, like, we have like money mindset as an example of something that tends to, like, that you like to work with people on, right? And
Yeah.
there's different variations of that. And I know that you have so much information that's going to be coming out around that. But then you also have the transitions. So maybe give an example of that, because I feel like there's a lot of women in LCG that are either transitioning. I know people have been sharing vulnerable about like their relationships are ending, or they're pivoting, or their kids are moving out of the house, or some are going to college, or they're starting their own business. They're leaving a full-time job. Like I know that just happened for Kate. Is an exciting thing, but it's a big transition. So why don't you talk a little bit about how brain spotting plays into transitions too?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to transitions, we are so used to being in one space, and we've become good at it. It's become our normal. We know and what to expect. I mean, we've lived here for so long, and to now think about moving into a new transition brings its own amount of scary. It brings its own amount of fear. What's going to happen next? What does it look like? What if I fail? I mean, there's a whole lot of emotion that comes along with that. There's ties to that too. There's ties to our belief systems. There's tied to our experiences. There's so much that we hold on to in deep in our brain that make that transition sometimes incredibly difficult. So that transition of a new job or a new season of life, kids being out of the house, a divorce, expanding your business, whatever kind of transition, new season you're talking about, accessing that deep brain stuff through brain spotting, you can actually apply the tools that you read about, that you've done coaching around, that you've learned about. You feel them. You break through those fear blocks. You start to heal some of the trauma experiences, those hard stuff that's holding you back. You gain confidence in yourself, trust in yourself. I'll use that word again. It's really being able to expand that. That is, like you've said, a game changer, especially in those moves, those transitions.
Okay, so just because I think some of the women are like really excited, they're like, "What is this? Like, what's happening?"
Yeah.
What does it look like? If I'm doing something with you, do you have like a time frame that you usually like to work with people on, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so my the packages that I kind of offer people and how I work with them is a 12-week time frame to start off with. A lot of people that I work with, whether it's therapy or in that coaching realm, we go more than 12 weeks, but 12 weeks is a really good jumping off point. We do some of that. We have an intensive session first off, and that's where we do a lot of the talking work. We do a lot of this front part, but then we go into some brain spotting sessions. And when I'm doing coaching, I can use some Reiki infused brain spotting, so it's a lot of that energy work. Therapy looks a little bit different, just because of different ethical guidelines, things that people need within a therapy realm. But in my coaching practices, I can use more of that energy work. We get really down deep in some of those sessions. They're usually about an hour long. And then I give some reflective prompts, allow you to do some journaling in between, give you some really good deep dive work you can do on your own for about a week or so, just to continue that deep dive, apply some of it to real life, really notice and observe what's happening, practicing some of the things that come up in those brain spotting sessions. And then we do it again, another brain spotting session, another breakthrough session. And that really allows that 12-week span to really flow in this change that's happening down deep.
Okay, that sounds really good. So as far as like questions and stuff goes, if anybody has any questions, this is a really great time to kind of drop them in, even if they're specific. Because one of the things that I was curious with her is I was like, well, is this more for like the personal side? Is this more for like the business side? And like, I'm a firm believer that they go hand in hand. And that's what,
Yeah.
in order to be a healthy entrepreneur, you really have to prioritize your energy. You got to prioritize your mental health. So if you guys have specific questions, also message Billie privately, like ask her questions that are relevant to you. Because I know when we're talking about our mental health, we can feel like nervous about it, like me telling you guys, well, I'm about to forward this week. It's like because I'm just not prioritizing it. And I know that, and I'm aware of that. Kate said a lot of times growth is uncomfortable. Is that what this would feel like?
It can be uncomfortable, but what I say is uncomfortable is where we grow. Like, uncomfortable is where we expand the most. If you go back and you think about the deepest, most impactful lessons that you've ever learned, a lot of times that's coming from an uncomfortable situation, an uncomfortable place of being. But we go through that and we learn a massive amount of things about ourselves, things about the world. Like, we grow so much in that uncomfortable place. But again, you in these sessions, what I do, the brain spotting, you only go as far as you want to, as deep as you want to, as uncomfortable as you want to. Go back to trusting yourself. When I'm holding space with somebody, whether it's in person or virtual, when I am with somebody, they feel safe. They feel like they can be uncomfortable and be okay. They trust me to do that. They trust themselves to do that. And whew, like the work that
I feel that with you. I do feel that way. That's why I'm really particular about who I bring in as experts to you guys, because these are people that I want you guys to trust. And I want it to be someone that I feel like is going to add value to you guys. Kate said, I imagine someone who goes through this feels so much lighter coming out on the other side. And so, yeah, do you have like any transformation? I don't know, like a story you can give us as an example without going too detailed of something that you've seen come from brain spotting with you?
I mean, I will say, even within session, like before someone even leaves my office or shuts their computer because they're done with me, when we go through, when we find that brain spot, we find where it is in the body, we observe that energy, allow that to flow, allow whatever thoughts come up, just follow that. First thing that people say is, I feel lighter. And so I love that word. Yeah, that lighter word is one that I'm hearing across the board almost every time, is I feel lighter. I think there's a weight that emotions, that tough stuff puts on us. Many
Or the
people,
fears, the anxiety, or
yes,
yeah.
there's so much weight, and being able to unlock that or show our brain where that is, that it can go and heal itself in that, because that's really what it does. It goes to heal itself once we unlock it. Like your experience in Costa Rica, once you've unlocked it, it can heal itself. And so
That awareness, even.
yes,
Yeah.
the lightness of that. And so, yeah, I have, I'm thinking of people in particular that have you know, come to talk about anger. And then in doing the deeper dive is really a lot of shame. And that shame was then connected to some childhood experiences that they had. But being able to follow kind of the breadcrumbs of that and really unlock the root of it. Now she's coming back and she's saying, like, I can set boundaries with people and I can, move away from a people pleaser mindset. I can stand up for myself. I know myself. And it's, I mean, just thinking about that person in particular, being able to unlock who they are and their own truth and stand in it around other people, like the ripple effects, business wise, relationship wise, parenting wise, like, yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Oh my gosh, that's freaking fire. Okay, so I'm thinking, okay, one last thing I know I want to ask, and then I'll see if there's any other questions because we're about to wrap it up, but is the Reiki. Okay, so this is something that you're passionate about, that you went and done the certifications around, like why, and I know this is something you can infuse through the coaching side of things. And so why Reiki? How does it play a part in this? And how does it complement brain spotting?
Yeah. The word observation just popped into my brain when you just said that. In brain spotting, we're all about observing what is happening, observing. Okay, I have this feeling here. I have this emotion. I'm observing these thoughts popping up, and being an observer, watching that happen instead of just reacting to that happening to you. There's so much energy work there. I can feel this experience in my body, and just breathing through that, just watching it allows it to move. And that's a lot of, with Reiki, what we're doing is that energy work of moving that through the body, allowing the body to heal itself. Like, it goes hand in hand so beautifully. And I've seen, if you would have told me a few years ago that I didn't even know what Reiki was a few years ago.
And I think some of the girls don't. So that's why I was like, educate them on what that is.
Yes, energy work. It's energy work, and it's really being able to be aware of what's happening in your body, and again, allowing your body to heal itself, trusting your body. I keep using that word, but I think it's so important here. But just being able to fully become you and who you were meant to be, who you will be. You get to unlock so much stuff with Reiki, with brain spotting, just with healing yourself in those ways.
Yeah, that's so good. So good. We have a share, and I don't know if I don't want to say your name wrong. So I'm just going to say Miss Parker because I don't know how to pronounce your first name. I think she may be a patient of yours. I'm not sure. She seems to love you. She said you're amazing, but she said, oh my gosh, yes, people pleaser in recovery is me. Boundaries were hard at first, but practice is helpful or is helping. And I think like there are a lot of people pleasers, especially as women, especially as moms and caregivers and spouses and daughters. I think like people pleasing is such a huge part of it. I remember being at our first reach retreat, and one of our speakers, Diana, talked about being a doormat and how that kind of played into like the people pleasing thing too. Shelly said I did. Oh, it's just Shelly. Oh yeah, duh. Okay, I know. Now that I'm seeing her picture, I'm looking at it on my cell phone with your little bitty dot, but the way you actually say your first name is hard, so she goes by Shelly. Now I know who you are. I did Billy's makeover, and she was just a light. Oh, so she did the makeup. She's our lipstick chica. Um, but I can't hardly tell on my phone. You guys are just these little bitty tiny dots when I'm looking down at you. But yeah, so I just felt like this was important, guys. As entrepreneurs, we talk a lot in this group about business strategy. We talk a lot about, growth and tactics in our business. But part of my pillar is energy, which is a lot around boundaries. It's a lot around knowing your time mastery, knowing what you want to give your work to. But I don't do a lot of the healing. I don't do a lot of the mindset stuff. Like, of course, I hype you up. I'm your hype girl. We talk about challenges and what fears are coming up. But that isn't my skill set. That is not what I am skilled at. And that's why having someone like Billie in your corner is important, because you need to be doing the mental growth and the healing alongside your business and your strategy. Because if we give one to the other, we're going to be off centered, right? And that's why I say my retreats are not just life, they're life and business, because they go hand in hand. So we have trauma talks, we have past talks, limiting beliefs, breaking through barriers, because if I look at my past history, like the story of the loss of my sister, if I wasn't able to work through that and choose to seek a gift out of it, I could be still living in this victim mentality of all the things that had happened to me. Instead, I chose to work through that. Or I don't want to speak because I don't have a college degree. Who wants to learn from me? If I would have allowed all of these mindset things and not have done some of this work around it, I wouldn't be living this expansive life, getting to impact women in the way that I am. Like, my journey has been an unfolding of hard ass shit that I've had to work through, and I couldn't have done it on my own. Like, we need people that are seasoned in this. Like, when I do retreats or I hold events, I have people like Billie that come in and they hold space for people, because that is so important. And so I want to encourage you guys to connect with Billie. She put together a really cool resource that I told her to share in the group. It's a mini series. It talks a little bit about brain spotting. It talks about some anxiety. It talks about some different things to work through. She has her group too, which is the Mentally Wealthy Entrepreneur group. Of course, she's in our group. She is a member. So hopefully she'll be sharing some more of her goodness with us and resources as she's putting them out in the world. But that's a really great place to also go hang out on the internet. And Shelly said, thank you. Kate said, have you done much work with overcoming blockages with money? So why don't you tell them about the money mindset one? Because I think that's a big one for our group. And then Kate said, growing up in poverty ingrains a lot of beliefs about money that ends up holding you back. 1000%. I've actually seen a friend of mine and a leader of mine work through this belief herself, because she was first generation to go to college. Her family was from Mexico. And now she grew up in poverty and now has experienced some wealth. And what does that look like? And how do I navigate that? And then Shelly said, thank you, Billie. So hit on the money mindset one, because I think that's great. She's got 3 different offers that are all really powerful, but I think this one is really going to hit with a lot of women in our group.
Yeah, with the money mindset, what I start out in that intensive, that first session, is we talk a lot about your money beliefs, money scripts, and where that came from. And yeah, it's not just our lifetime and our experiences that impact our money script. It's our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents. Like, all of those beliefs about money have been passed down, and now we hold on to them. But again, we don't hold on to them here where we can just think, oh, like, budget will work and I'll be fine. No, we hold it onto them down here where I need all the money that I can, otherwise something terrible will happen, or I need to spend so that I can feel happy and joyful and I can connect with people around me. Or, I mean, there's 4 different types of money mindsets that I talk about in that program. We really tease that out. We really work to understand your money beliefs, your money script, and then we do that brain spotting to heal what's down deep with that. So that, again, that weight can come off of you. You can stand in your truth. You can feel confident, and thrive. I mean, money impacts everything that we do, whether we like it or not. And so it's really important to build on that relationship with money so that we can do just that, thrive.
And that's right? The last thing I'm going to hit on, and how this complements, like, because I love teaching money mastery. Okay. But my side of things is helping you get clear on your numbers, your pricing strategies, your launch strategies, when we're going to be putting those offers out, what we should be charging for those services. Those are the things Billie came to me for, right? Is that strategical side of things. But Billie is on the side of, I have to have the confidence to put these offers out into the world, to feel worthy of charging for these services, to feel empowered that I'm investing in myself and my business. Like, that's a big block for a lot of women, is being able to invest in programs, investing in retreats, investing in their mental health, going to counseling, going to therapy. If my insurance isn't paying for it, I'm not doing it. Like, just different mindsets like that keep us from that acceleration we're really capable of. And so that's why that's why I was so passionate about bringing her in. Like, you can do just the strategy work, you can do just the mindset work, but when they come together, like, that's where the magic happens. Yeah, that's where that expansion happens. And that's why I'm so passionate about both. It is, you've got to take care of you. It all starts with you. And then that's where that abundance flows. And then the strategy just helps aid in the process and the growth and the clarity. And it helps you maximize your energy because you have a plan. You're not in this constant creation and like clarifying stage of your thought processes. But this is so huge. And Shelly said too, as a Mexican, I can attest to the BS of money wealth. Yeah. And I think that that's something I am even seeing culturally. Like I said, the woman that we had worked with is them coming from not such a privileged place, right? Like, they are having to, and now they are becoming successful and they are making money. Now, what does that look like? And I've met women too that always have this mindset that they're always having to create more. wealth in numbers. We're not talking, when we talk about wealth, guys, we're not just talking about money. We're talking about happiness, fulfillment, joy, abilities to take vacations with your kids, unplug. Like wealth is not just in numbers. Wealth is the quality of your life. But wealth in numbers, I've had women say, like, even though I have all this money, I live in this big house, I make 7 figures, I do all of these things, I still feel like it's not enough. Like if I'm not making sales and I'm not bringing in money, then I'm not worthy. So like that's, so we could keep talking about this for hours, but
Yeah, it's true. I was gonna say more, but you're right. We could. It's so important. It impacts all of us. And yeah, you got to team up on it. Emotional.
if you need to add something, add it. They'll hop off when they want to. But if you feel like there's something you need to say around that, like feel free to
Oh,
unpack it. No? Okay. So we're just so happy that you guys came in, guys. Vegas
yeah.
goals is such a passion of mine, and getting to provide content like this just available to you guys. I hope that it got your wheels turning. I hope you're thinking of ways that you can prioritize yourself to become a mentally wealthy entrepreneur. I encourage you to, even if you're not ready to take the leap to work with her yet, get in her spaces, get in her energy, take advantage of this, and letting us, like when you guys show up live too, it means the world to me, because I'm just doing this and creating this space for you guys. And it means a lot when Billie comes on and you guys ask questions and you're supporting, and like that means the world. So if you feel like anybody in our group or anyone who's outside the group needs to know about this, needs to be exposed to this group, wants to have this kind of growth, invite them, share the replay with them. And if you guys will just come back and visit, Billie will share those links that we talked about earlier in the chat. And yeah, she's in our group. She's a member. So take advantage of coming back on the replay and asking questions. So
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Danielle.
all right. Thank you so much for coming, girl.
Thank you.